What's up, everybody? Are you thinking about buying a home on Acreage versus buying a home in a regular neighborhood? Well, here's a few tips for you. So I currently sell real estate in North Idaho, specifically based out of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. But a lot of people moving here are looking at buying rural property versus purchasing within a neighborhood. Now, there's a ton of different things you need to know. I'm just going to give you a few tips on experience that I've had with my clients. But if you're thinking about moving from California or another state where you've come out of a residential neighborhood and you want to buy rural property, here's some things you need to know. First thing you need to know if you are looking at buying rural property. Now, if you're buying rural property to build on, this is going to be a couple different things. If you're buying property to build on, a couple things you need to be aware of is when you purchase the land, usually it does not have any access to water. It's going to need a septic and you need power. So 3 big expenses that can be very big variables within the purchase of that land. We'll have other videos based on how to do construction and wraparound loans. We won't cover that today. If you are purchasing land, keep in mind that you'll need to get a quote for drilling your well, getting what's called a perk test for your septic to make sure that it drains properly. And then you also want to get in touch with the power company to see how far away the power line is that you can connect to and how much that's going to cost. And there's also a few things you can do with rural properties. If power is too far away, you can do some off-grid things, but that's another video. My recommendation to all my clients who are looking at building on land and have questions about these variable costs, right? They're big. A lot of times you don't want to have a bill rack up to 100 grand. So what I suggest to my clients is get under contract with the property because now you're in control. And then during your due diligence inspection period, that's when you figure out all these quotes. And usually the well companies will be able to give you ideas where your property is. They can give you estimates on how deep the wells typically are surrounding that property, how much the cost is going to be to drill a new one. Same thing is going to be with power, right? You're going to call the power company. They should be able to tell you exactly how far away it is and how much it's going to cost to bring that power in. Septic is a little bit different though. When you're doing a perk test for septic, they have to dig test holes. For this, I also recommend you get in touch with Panhandle Health and find out what their requirements are for that and what the lead time is to get those tests done. Now, if you're purchasing a home that's on acreage, it's definitely a little bit different than purchasing a home that's inside of a residential suburban neighborhood, right? That's why you buy it. You want to have privacy, you don't want to have people around you, and you want to be able to live, more remotely. So a couple things to keep in mind. Again, just like I said earlier about wells, you're going to have a well on the property. Up here in North Idaho, you will not have sewer. You're going to have septic, which comes with maintenance that happens every 3 to 5 years, depending on how big your tank is. And then power. I always suggest that if you're living in a rural area, get a generator. You don't know if those power lines are going to go down. If a tree were to blow over and fall on that power line, you don't want to be out of power. And usually you don't have natural gas hooked up. If you do, it's typically a propane tank that you lease or own that's on your property. Your wells are pretty straightforward, right? It's very rare that something will dry up or anything like that. But again, if you're concerned about purchasing a home that has an existing well that maybe has a low production, get in touch with a local well company to see what their recommendation is, whether you put a cistern system in or some sort of system to be able to hedge your bets against a well drying up. So of course, most of you watching this video are watching it because you would rather purchase a home within a rural area and maybe not in a residential neighborhood. It's a lot easier to go and purchase a home in a residential neighborhood for the most part because you have city sewer most of the time, you have city water, and then electricity is right there and it's hooked up typically. So depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for rural property, it's not that hard at the end of the day. You just need to have a professional realtor that can help you navigate those questions that you may not know what to ask or what to look for during your due diligence period. If you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out to me at resourcefulagentrealty.com or on my Instagram and Facebook at resourcefulagent. Be sure to subscribe to the video and I'll see you on the next one.